Never editorialize. That was the first lesson my first editor taught me. You're 21 years old, he said. You have no right to opinion about anything but beer and girls. New York reporters see a whole lot of awful, he said. Sights that knock the breath out of you and keep it. The key is not to look for too long, not to get sucked in. Look away, look at your hand, and remember who, what, where, when, how, and write it all down as quick as you can. Don't try to make sense of anything, just spit out those facts and give it a catchy headline. That's what most people read anyway. That. And the ads. Headlines that catch people's attention these days are usually filled with death and bloodshed. And in 1909, after a tragic fire hit the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory in New York City, the blood of 146 workers was spilled on the corner of Green and Washington. The Triangle Fire Factory project by Filer and Evans recounts this tragedy through the dramatization of the real accounts of survivors who watched their family and friends perish in the fire. Throughout this piece, you'll see Shepard, a young news reporter, Rose, an Irish immigrant, and Kate all recount their tales of the fire. Saturday was a short day, so the bell rang at 4:45. I got my paycheck and went to the dressing room when I heard a noise like a big puff. I was coming out of it when I smelled smoke coming from the Green Street side. Then somebody yelled, "Fire!" And all of a sudden you get a terrible panic. I ran to the Green Street doorway. I started to call for Margaret, but it was full of people. So I went to the window to put my face out to get some air. I calmed down. I cried, "Fire!" down to the people below. Then some gal started pushing on me and I got afraid I'd fall out. So I went back towards the elevator. There was this girl, Yetta. She was screaming and crying. Her hands. She was on fire. Yetta jumped. I even saw one girl falling, waving her arms, trying to keep her body upright until the instant she struck the sidewalk. She was trying to balance herself. Then came the sound, the thud of a speeding, living body on a stone sidewalk. Thud. Dead. Thud. Dead. Thud. Dead. Then a silent, unmoving pile of twisted and broken limbs. I looked up at the 9th floor. There was a living picture in each window. 4 heads of screaming girls waving their arms. They were all as alive and as whole as were we who stood on the sidewalk. I couldn't help thinking of that. So I figured I want to know what the executives are doing. So I ran through the flames and toward the 10th floor. They'd saved themselves already. The firemen began to raise a ladder. Others grabbed life nets, and while they were rushing to the sidewalk with it, 2 more girls shot down. They held it under them, but the bodies broke it. The grotesque simile of a dog jumping through a hoop struck me. And then I heard Margaret yell. She was at the Washington Place door. So I pushed her on the side and I said, "Wait, I'll open that door." I tried, in and out, all ways, and I couldn't open it. It was locked. It was locked. The door was locked. There were 3 stairs leading up to the roof with flames running over them. And here I am, 2 days before my 18th birthday. I start thinking about my mother and I figure I gotta get out of this mess. I don't cry. I don't complain. Well, I do. But I covered my face, put my coat over my head. I can't see. The wall shook. I ran upstairs to the roof. I saw a love affair in the midst of all the horror that was happening. A young man helped a young girl onto a windowsill. She put her arms about him and she kissed him. Then he held her out into space, deliberately away from the building, and dropped her. She was as were helping her onto a streetcar instead of into eternity. Quick as a flash, he was on the windowsill himself. His coat fluttered upward. The air filled his trouser legs. I could see that he wore tan shoes and hose. His hat remained on his head. Thud! Dead. Thud. Dead. And then Margaret started bending down on her knees. The trail of a dress was a little far from her. She screamed and cried, Margaret! But she didn't reply. A man, he hoisted me up to the roof of an adjacent building, and from there, I ran into the building and down 10 flights of stairs. Do you think anyone helped me down those 10 flights? No. I sat on every floor. I was so weak. Firemen raised the longest ladder they had, but it only reached the 6th floor. I saw a girl jump at it and miss it. I tried to get to Margaret. I really did, but it was so hot, and the smoke blinded me. So I left her. When I came out, there were firemen. Instead of going in to save the people, they were saving the building. The last woman to fall got snagged on a steel hook. And she remained there until her clothes burned and she too smashed to the ground. I was looking around. I seen my father and he seen me. He fainted. The ambulance took him away. I seen another lady I know and she said to me, Rose, is that you're your shadow? I thought you were dead. I didn't even turn around when I seen what was happening. A man came over to me. My face must have been all black from the smoke because he lifted it up and wiped it with a handkerchief. He said to me, I thought you were my sister. He gave me his coat. I don't know who he was. I hope he found his sister. The floods that ran into the gutter from the firemen's hoses was actually stained red with blood. And I remembered that these were the shirtwaist makers who, in their great strike of last year, had demanded for more sanitary conditions and safety precautions in their shops. But a fireman told me that there were at least 50 bodies in the big room on the 9th floor. Another told me that 10 had fallen down an air shaft in the rear of the building. The fire escape had collapsed. I went back there, into that narrow court where I saw another pile of dead people. Is it a man or a woman? One lady asked. It's human, I answered. That's all you can tell. Thank you.